Welcoming Jared and Jensen.
Good morning, LA.
Technically, it's Burbank.
Good morning, Burbank.
There we go.
Who's a local? Of course. Well, good to see you guys. Hope you didn't have to drive too far. In the LA traffic, Burbank traffic.
Not a lot of traffic on Sunday mornings. It's okay.
Is that right?
I'm kidding.
It's LA.
It'd be 4 a.m. and the 405 would be.
Who's a first timer? Welcome. As most of you guys know, or maybe some of you don't, but Jensen and I, we film in Vancouver, we live in Austin with our families. So I don't get to LA a lot, but there's a now that I come back as a visitor, it's got like a weird like nostalgia to me. You know, you fly in, you're like, oh, that's the old In-N-Out burger that I used to go to. Oh, there's Carl's Jr. that I threw up outside of. Oh, there's the...
It's like a high school reunion.
It is. It's kind of strange. In Burbank especially, this is where I did Gilmore Girls for 5 years. So I have a very fun memory of it. And not too far away from where we are now is where we had our first ever meeting and where we booked a little show called Supernatural.
That's right.
Which is a fun story. And it's a show that never ends. So I've been getting a lot of love from you guys, and I appreciate it. Long story short, I just didn't want him to outdo me on number of children. So I didn't want to hear about it. So we decided to play catch up. We heard they were having twins.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe the response he gave me when I said that we were having twins was, dang!
Get a phone call from Jim. So they're gonna have 3, we only have 2. Just kidding. We say this as our wives are both like tired and not able to get out of bed.
Angry.
Like, oh, we gotta go to work. See you later.
What's funny is my wife, she doesn't, from behind, she doesn't look pregnant until she turns to the side and it's like, whoa!
Knocking stuff off tables.
Or if you just, and I did this to her last night, I probably shouldn't have done this, but I was like, no, you don't, from behind, the only thing you notice is just, it's simply the way you walk, which is.
But she looks great doing it.
Amazing.
And I have a very, and I don't make it any easier, I have a very funny relationship with Danielle where whenever I see her, I'll purposely be like, sorry, she just gives me a look like, you're an idiot. Man, you're huge, Danielle, what happened? Yeah, she punches me.
Everybody else would be like, oh my gosh, you're so mean to me. She's like, shut up, Jared.
Throwing stuff at me.
Stupid face.
How'd y'all like the episode? How'd you like our Hitler? That was fun. I remember reading the script and it was like, wait, we're bringing Hitler back to life? And then it literally described him in the notes on the script. You're reading, you're like, okay, and Hitler is animated and he's back to life. But it's not like this Hitler that we know from history. It's like, what do they say? Like Richard Simmons on too much caffeine or something like that. Oh, and then they did it. I just projectile spit. Like running around and, oh, so nice to see you. It's like, all right, this is pretty funny. So that was nice to do. A lot of good laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we just sit here and jabber, let's
Too late.
Before we sit here and jabber further, yes, that was a fast hand. That's a good fast hand. I did well.
She doesn't have a question. She's just been practicing shooting her hand out.
Hello.
What's your shawl? What's that?
I'm celebrating. I turned 21 today.
Happy birthday.
It was either this or Vegas, and I realized I don't want to hang over Vegas, so.
Yeah, Vegas will be around for a
right, so my question is, a lot of shows have been doing a lot of crossover episodes, especially on the CW, and my question is, if you guys could do a crossover show or episode with any other show, what would you want to do? Personally, I think a Supernatural Walking Dead crossover would be pretty cool.
We've actually talked about that. And would it be Super Dead or Walking Natural?
I think Super
the only
Dead.
question.
Super Dead sounds pretty cool.
Super Dead.
Well, 'cause I think Walking Natural would look like this.
I love the idea of like, and at 9/8 Central on Super Dead. Sam and Dean, that would be fun. That would be fun
They're
because
not just dead. They're just super dead.
I think it'd be fun because Sam and Dean know how to kill some zombies. So we could show up and be like, all right guys, come on. Like, quit whining, like let's get to work. So, it'd be fun. Plus it'd be fun to see Dad again. Thank you, and good job with that.
I do like the thought of the brothers in that world, because I just have this scene in my head where Dean just walks up and goes, "Hey Sam, this one doesn't even have any legs. It's just a torso. How is this a problem?"
They're so slow.
All right, next.
Nice baseball bat. Here's a grenade launcher. Oh, that was the grenade launcher scene, right?
Yes.
Might be like, no, Dean. Yeah, that was fun.
I
Sorry.
was so excited when I read that part, and then I was so very quickly saddened by the next line. I was like, oh.
You basically had the exact same reaction that Dean had. All right, your turn.
All right, let's see. About right there in the aisle. Yeah.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hey,
Good. How are you?
Good. So this is my first convention, and I'm all over the place.
Welcome.
I know that you guys always prank everyone, specifically Misha. And I wanted to know what your favorite prank was, because Misha told us about the pies yesterday. So I want to know what your favorite one was.
We actually, it was an elaborate prank, but we got Donald Trump elected president just to
Too soon. Too soon.
Joke.
Funny, haha.
I did send him a text as the results were coming in, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, I'm thinking about you. You know, I know you've been doing a lot of work and campaigning and stuff like that." I didn't hear back from him for like 48 hours. I was like, "See, we know if Misha's dead." Right. Finally, I just got like an unhappy face. The pie was fun, but I got so giddy and excited, and sometimes I get like a small child, even though I'm 6'4", 215 pounds. And so I think every time I watch that video, I don't know how his nose didn't shatter, because I was so excited with my little whipped cream pie. And as soon as he came in, it was just, it went to...
It's Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Pretty Misha. Why do you fall? Yeah, so that was a pretty good one.
Telling us how you put like your hips into it, just went bam.
It was instinct.
Oh, he put his hips into it, all right.
It was like her hand. It just, everything went. I didn't know I could react that fast.
One of my favorites, and I'm sure you guys have heard this one, if you haven't though, but Jared and Misha made a little bet on a game, and Misha lost, and he lost big. What was it, like $2,000 or something?
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I mean, the stakes were probably going to be like,
It was,
maybe $100, right?
yeah, it was
but because
Words
of the
with
nature
Friends.
of the
Remember
game.
that game, Words with Friends? And we were like, all right, $10 a point. We're both smart guys.
Yeah, and then you guys have played before and probably been, a few points off from each
Yeah,
other.
5
It's
points.
been a pretty even match. He just somehow wiped the board with him, like so much so that it accumulated to about $2,000.
It was like $2,200.
And he was like, "Don't worry about
Don't
it.
do it.
Don't pay it." Obviously, this was a fluke. But Misha, being a man of his word,
After many, many months, by the way. Like,
Yes.
It was so awkward because he'd show up on set. I was like, he's still angry at me. I told him he didn't have to pay. He would just walk past, like grumbling, being like, "I'll pay you. I'll get your money." And I was like,
"You stupid man."
"That's just stupid." I think like months passed. It was like children were born, seasons changed.
So, nice segue. Speaking of change. So, what happened was that Misha was taking his time because he was accumulating the money required to pay off his debt in coins. And once he
around
reached...
all the banks in Vancouver.
Yeah, he drove around and got as many, and he tried to get pennies, but they've...
You got a lot of pennies.
Yeah, but well, they phased pennies out in Canada, so it's nickel is now the smallest denominator. But
I think he was like getting investigated by the government. They're like, why is this guy trying to get all of the pennies in existence?
so he finally got all the money, and he decided to go and pour it into Jared's trailer one afternoon.
It was 180 pounds worth of coins. It was 3 jugs, like buckets,
Like 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
And Jared opened the door, and there was a sea of coinage.
And my dog behind it, who was scared of it because she didn't understand why her paws were doing this when she was just like kind of
Or
growling
making
at this.
noise.
Yeah.
And Jared very quickly came up with a plan for the coins. And by the end of the day, all $2,200 worth of coinage was then transferred into Misha's car.
With a note saying, I'd like to make a $2,200 donation to
Random X.
Apparently, some of the coins like got in his seatbelt things, so he couldn't put his seatbelt in.
And it was gear shift. Like every time he'd shift gears, it'd be like a rattling of change. And
Even when he thought it was gone, even when he like thought he had shot backed it all out, he said he'd like come to a stop here. Ching, 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 ching. Damn it.
so a lot of the pranks that are pulled on the show are really kind of impromptu gags that don't need planning, really. Usually the planned ones go bad.
Right.
It's the ones that are spur of the moment.
Oh, I got an idea.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with the flower head. Flower, what do you call that? Halo.
Crown.
It's a crown.
A flalo. A flower.
Volcanoes.
Flower crown?
That are also
Volcanoes are mountains.
There's a name. Is it called a crown?
It's a crower.
Don't crowns have horns?
What?
I was hoping you missed that.
So you guys are really good.
Thanks. Let's go over here.
You guys are really good at like micro expressions when you're acting that kind of really give the character's life. Is that something you kind of consciously put in, or is that something that you get lost in the character and it kind of comes across naturally?
I think it's the latter. I think I've been doing this long enough, as has Ackles, that I can tell when someone's been coached into what to do. Even if they're great at it, I can tell when someone's been like sitting with an acting coach and going through, and they're told like, hey, when this happens, maybe if your voice cracks a little bit or something. Even if they do it wonderfully, you can tell, after working with somebody for so long, you can tell like, okay, they have a very distinct plan, it's a conscious decision. But in my opinion, it stands out to me like a red flag. And I think one of the things I like best about Sam, after getting to know him pretty well, is I feel comfortable just kind of being him and letting those reactions maybe find, because I don't think about it. Like I remember I did a movie with Peter O'Toole, and he was talking about a fellow actor who the worst thing that ever happened to the actor is he started doing his lines in the mirror. So he said the actor basically started worrying about how he looked as opposed to what he felt, and so you miss a lot of the minutia. And I think one of the fun parts of Supernatural is being able to kind of learn the dialogue and learn the idea and then find what happens in the moment, which I feel like would be lost if it was too thought out. So I think he and I both kind of just let it roll, you know?
Yeah, I think there's I like to call it just availability. If you're over rehearsed and you get to the set and you start reciting lines and reciting a performance that you've already pre-planned, then you're not available for the nuance that can come out of nowhere when you're working with somebody else, because now maybe you're hearing the dialogue from this other actor in a different way than you thought he or she might have said it when you were rehearsing. And so if you're over-rehearsed and you just simply recite that dialogue the way that you planned, then you're not really available to the other actor to listen to them. You're not listening to them at all. You're just waiting for them to shut up so you can say your line.
That's a great idea.
So I think if you, obviously you know your lines, but maybe you don't have a concrete decision on how you're going to play them, you're going to wait and see what the scene requires. Maybe the actor you're working with says something or delivers a line in a completely different way. Well, now you can react accordingly. And I think those little things we were kind of taught and learned early on in the show from some very good directors and actors as well. And I think that's really kind of made, that's helped us develop our character in a way that standing in front of a mirror would never help.
And we'll see stuff also where we'll be doing a scene and it's Sam and Dean talking to whoever, and the cameras will be on us first, and so we'll be acting with the actor or the actress, and we'll be like, pretty good. And then when the camera turns, they change it completely, and you're like, oh my God, they were so much better when they weren't on camera, because they weren't thinking about it. They were just kind of like, all right guys, you're gonna blah, blah, blah. Then the camera went, they're like, okay guys. And you go to this, and you're like, oh, it feels like fake now, as opposed to when the cameras weren't on them, they weren't stressing out about it, so they were just feeling it.
And now they're performing.
And now they're like, well, the camera's here, I have to do something. And you're like, oh, buddy. But I guess that comes with maybe time and technique.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Yes, sir. Blue shirt. Yeah.
Hello. So my daughter had me watch all of this in the last month or two, all 11 seasons.
No way! That is awesome. And so were you fired from your job, or?
No, we had a thing where we did a couple every night. It's like,
Awesome.
Supernatural, all right. So we went, and she stayed up late for a long time.
That's awesome.
And so anyway, I came to really enjoy the show. I'm actually a little bit more affected seeing it than I thought I'd be. But I'll catch you at the photo op later.
Perfect.
My question is, I'm sure this happens a lot, so you may not be able to think of the biggest example, but can you give us an example of something that was completely unscripted, that you just did on the spot, that was just massively impactful, where it was like, wow, that was so good that we went off script?
There are a few things. One of the things that comes to my mind is, I want to say it was season 2 or 3 where Sam gets possessed by, I think we called it the Meg demon, and he's tied up and he kind of tortures Dean a little bit. And then when he's finally exorcised, there's a moment between Sam and Dean where they're like, okay, it's my brother again. And at first it was just the end of the scene. And it occurred to the both of us that Dean would probably be so pissed off at what Sam had just done, he'd lean over and punch him or something. And so we ended up doing that, and sure enough, they kept it. Because it was just kind of a funny moment of like, oh, you're back, go to hell, you know. That was one. There have been a bunch.
Yeah, there's a lot, and this kind of goes back to the answer I was talking about this young lady with the kind of being available for those moments to present themselves and then being able to act on them. So we've had a lot of moments or dialogue added that just felt right in that kind of scenario in that moment, and I think the directors and the writers and the producers and all those that kind of surround those creative decision making things is they trust us, I think, to let us play and to let us do those things. So, I mean, yeah, there was one recently, just not this past week's episode, but the week prior, where Dean decided to go over the gate and Sam just walks around. That was not scripted. But there's a lot of little moments like that, and it's fun when you guys can catch those and maybe point those out, because we really enjoy doing those.
And though it didn't make it to the show, I think Eye of the Tiger always stands out as something. Being emotionally available. I see a hand way, way back in the back. Yes. I've never seen a hand from so far away. So.
Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. My name is Rosemary. I actually work for Warner Brothers in television marketing, so part of my job...
I didn't mean what I said about it.
Huh? What? No. No, don't worry. I'm not a big exec or anybody like that. I actually work in television marketing and help promote the show. And I'm also part of a board member in our studio where I basically am an advocate for campaigns and try and do a lot of volunteer work. And I'm really impressed with what you're doing with Keep On Fighting. And I was just wondering, what can I do? Because I'm trying to bring it to the studio so that we can support Always Keep Fighting. And I don't know what else I can do other than personally.
Well, first off, thank you. In my opinion, though,